Maxie faints nearly immediately on the set of Home and Heart after putting the night cream to her face. The women run to her, and Lucy calls for an ambulance. The paramedics come, and Lucy learns that Maxie is having a heart attack. Lucy explains that Maxie underwent a heart transplant a long time ago. Brooke Lynn, meanwhile, telephones Spinelli and tells him to get to the hospital. The camera focuses on Maxie's cream, which has been neglected. At Metro Court, Carly informs Lulu that Albrecht has agreed to depart the hotel. She feels Albrecht wants the best for Rocco and reminds herself that this is all about her son. When Nina comes, Carly runs over and demands how she dares to come here after what she did to Willow and Michael. Carly yells that Nina could have spared Willow a lot of pain if she had told her the truth about Drew. Nina encourages Carly to get off her high horse before it upsets her, because she has never cared for Willow. Carly claims she did, before Drew transformed her into someone she does not know. Carly claims that everything Willow lost and is today is because of Nina. Gio arrives to collect his paycheck and speaks with Lulu, hesitating whether to act and end the argument. Brooke Lynn suddenly telephones Lulu and informs her that Maxie is in trouble. Nina and Carly continue to argue. Nina ended up assaulting Carly while yelling, "Shut up." Carly shoves Nina and she falls into the pool. Diane is unsure whether she can assist Michael. Sunny and Diane have invited Michael over to address their Drew problem. Michael tells how Drew manipulated him into attacking him. Diane is concerned that Michael's request to Tracy to take Wiley away could be interpreted as premeditation, and that he was aware of what he was about to do. With Drew threatening Sunny and Michael, Diane advises Michael make a compromise and petition the court to allow Willow to see the children. Michael can't because Willow is out of control. When pressed, he admits that he believes Willow was the person who targeted Daisy. Diane questions why he hasn't gone to the police, and he acknowledges he doesn't have any proof. Sunny wonders how they can repair this. Diane wants to know who saw Drew chatting to Wiley. Michael names Tracy, Stella, and Martin, none of whom Diane believes will hold up under inspection. She says they need to find an objective witness. Congressman pain in the ass at the hospital, Drew insists on seeing a doctor right away, claiming he may have permanent visual loss. Liz informs him outright that his black eye is not a medical emergency. Drew reveals that Michael assaulted him, and he needs legal proof to help Willow with her case. Felicia, not noting an incoming call from Brooke Lynn, hands Drew his paperwork. He walks away, and Lucas joins the women in laughing at Drew's shiner. Will Maxie survive? Maxie is suddenly hauled in by paramedics and rushed to the emergency room. Liz and Lucas struggle to save Maxie, as Lucy arrives to update Felicia on what transpired. Spinelli quickly appears in utter terror. Lulu arrives and keeps Spinelli calm. He left Georgie in charge and didn't explain what was going on, so Lulu summons Emma to look after the kids. Brooke Lynn and Flora also arrive, and Brooke Lynn visits Maxie's relatives and friends. She inquires whether there is any news, but they have none. Maxie remains in VFib at the emergency room, while Lucas and Liz work to save her. Lulu informs Spinelli that Emma is with the children, and he must trust that Maxie will return to them. Brooke Lynn, meantime, remains out of Lulu's path so she may assist Spinelli. She tells Flora that Maxie is the finest friend she has ever had. Back in the cubicle, Lucas and Liz finally get Maxie back. Turner needs a favor in her office. Anna leaves an angry message for Jack to call her back regarding the Croatia assignment. Justine Turner appears and requests that Anna conduct an investigation into Drew, describing him as dirty as they come, though she is unable to elaborate. Anna believes this is a trap, and she risks losing her job if Drew retaliates. Anna requires some reassurance from Justine, which is when Drew arrives to inform that he is the victim of a crime committed by Michael. He informs Anna and Turner what happened. Anna appears to suppress laughter, noting Drew, a decorated Navy SEAL, was beaten up by his nephew. Turner believes this is still a crime that they must take seriously, noting that given Michael's record, they may be looking at felony assault. Drew feels pleased that he has gotten his way. Or is he, given Turner's knowledge? Who did not see this coming? In Croatia, Vaughn holds Joss in the shower, and they immediately begin kissing. They rapidly return to the bedroom, rip each other's clothes off and hit the mattress. Joss leaps out of bed after sex and quickly starts chatting about what they'll do next. Any regrets, Joss? They all believe that Britt is their greatest chance of figuring out what's going on, but they only have a limited amount of time. They dress and prepare to carry out their plan tomorrow. Vaughn claims there is nothing left to do tonight except go to bed. Been there and done it. Britt holds back. Britt questions Jason, who enters her room, what he's doing there, and how he found her. He claims that he saw her at the Paris airport and followed her here. He pondered obeying her desires and leaving her alone, but he became concerned that none of this was her choice. He wants her to accompany him home, but she says she'll never return to Port Charles, and she can't go back to Paris right now since she can't risk being spotted. Jason asks whether she is in danger. Britt reminisces about their past and his decision to leave her for Carly. She also recalls that he died while attempting to save her and her mother from Victor, which devastated her just as deeply as the rocks that reportedly crushed him. Now he is alive. He mentions that she is too. He wonders how she survived the hook. Britt asks Jason to explain how he survived first. He offers her the short story of being an FBI informant to save Carly. Britt complains that everything leads back to Carly, and he does not deserve an explanation from her. She mourned him. She stood at his grave forgiving him. She retorts, calling him a selfish son of a bitch. She maintains she chose to remain dead because she did not want her family to see her decline, and her Huntington's disease is now in remission, and she has constructed a new life. He informs her that there is a major incident going on here, that the WSB has marked the location, and that she is endangered. Jason swears that he can get her out of here tonight. She assures him she doesn't need saving and can save herself if that's the case. She tells him to go or she'll contact security. He inquires what will happen if she does. In the final moments of GH, Lucas informs the family that Maxie is stable and had a heart attack. The crisis is over, and they simply need to wait for her to awaken. Liz is with Maxie, who is hooked up to tubes. Brooklyn calls Lucas aside to talk and asks if he knows what caused this. He's not sure and inquires about the cream, wondering whether it could have been a reaction. Lucy interjects, saying they've all used it several times, so it can't be the cream. As far as Lucas knows, Maxie was in excellent health. Who wants to bet that tub of cream will be missing when they return to the set? Nina yells in the pool that Carly could have broken her neck. Carly digs in again, blaming Nina for everything that happened and stating that she and Willow will never go near those kids again. At Sunny's, Michael says Drew is clearly utilizing this turn of events to become Willow's hero and reclaim her kids. Unfortunately, Diana claims Drew has a case. Drew praises Turner for taking him seriously, but Anna explains they don't have a case yet. Anna comments that Michael will have his own version of the story. Diane and Turner offer the same counsel to Michael and Drew. This case will come down to witnesses. Back in Croatia, Vaughn proposes they sleep in shifts to be safe, and urges her to sleep while he takes the first watch. After sex, it's unlikely that either of them will sleep. Finally, Britt shows Jason the door, and he leaves devastated. Britt calls alone and says, "We have a situation that needs to be resolved immediately." At the hospital, Lucas and Elizabeth checked Maxie's vital signs, which were normal. Lucas was anxious because Maxie was still not awake. Lulu consoled Spinelli while they watched from the chamber window. Maxie's CT and MRI results were clean, so Lucas and Elizabeth came out to share them. They found no calcifications, blockages, or hypertrophy, and her blood test results were normal. Spinelli wanted to sit with Maxie after Lucas and Elizabeth departed, but he was concerned that he hadn't updated the kids yet. Lulu stated that Spinelli should be the first person Maxie sees when she wakes up. She advised him to go be with Maxie and she would talk to the kids. Spinelli, worried and antsy at her bedside, discussed their families to-do list with Maxie. He mentioned that James had a swim competition this weekend, and she promised to take Georgie back to school shopping, for which he would be a dreadful substitute. "So you see, Maximista, you have to wake up because you are irreplaceable in so many ways," replied the man. He went on to say that if she opened her eyes, he would ask her to marry him, and he begged her to do so. Cody, Felicia, and Mac waited uneasily in the family room. Mac was staring at a photo of Maxie fallen on the home and heart set, trying to figure out what occurred. Later, Anna met with Felicia, who was alone in the room at the time. Felicia stated she was barely holding it together, but Lucas had just given them a positive update. She too was concerned that Maxie hadn't woken up. Felicia was concerned as she reflected on the miracle of obtaining BJ's heart when Maxie was 6 years old. She mentioned Maxie's heart had done a lot and wondered whether it was worn and beginning to wear out. Anna stated that she did not believe miracles had expiration dates, and believed in Maxie's courage and determination to live. Later, Elizabeth and Lucas met in the break room. He was attempting to keep calm, but he confessed that he was worried since Maxie hadn't woken up yet, and they didn't know why. He reflected on losing Sam and the fear of failing to save someone else he cared about. Elizabeth comforted him that the body needed time to mend on its own, and Maxie always did things her own. While Mac and Cody waited outside Maxie's chamber, he pondered on how raising Maxie, Robin, and Georgie was the greatest privilege of his life. He grinned since several of his gray hairs bore Maxie's name on them. Cody explained that Maxie was the one who stopped him from leaving town and believed in him, even when he didn't. He claimed she always treated him as if he were a member of her family, making him want to be one as well. Later, addressing to the entire family, Lucas stated that Maxie's toxicology exam required more investigation due to an anomaly discovered in her blood, an unnamed enzyme that could be keeping her from waking up. They needed to figure out what it was and where it was coming from before deciding on the best treatment plan for Maxie. Anna followed Lucas when he walked away. When he said he'd never seen anything like the enzyme, Anna wondered if Maxie had been poisoned. Lulu visited Maxie's residence to speak with Georgie and James. She first chatted with Emma, who had been watching them overnight. Lulu stated that Maxie was still unresponsive but stable, and she was clinging to anything positive. Lulu, who was plainly worried after Emma left, was taking a few minutes to contemplate everything when Liesl knocked on the door. Lulu invited her in, stating that James would be delighted to see his grandmother. Georgie and James hurried into the living room, arguing before they could say anything else. Lulu began to explain Maxie's situation, but she struggled to do so in the least unpleasant way possible. Liesl switched into doctor mode and presented the matter in a way that was honest but not frightening. The two did their utmost to console and reassure Georgie and James. After the kids had returned to their rooms, Lulu commended Liesl for how effectively she handled their conversation. Liesl, who Lulu could tell was anxious, said the longer Maxie didn't answer, the more probable she was to fall into a coma. Drew contacted Gio when he was working at the Metro Court pool. He happily stated that it appeared that cutting connections with the Quartermaines agreed with Gio, and commended him for going his own path. Gio stated that Drew had no business knowing about his relationship with his family. Drew thought they had something in common because they both had family members that let them down, but Gio took a moment to point out a couple of the heinous things Drew had done that he believed made them completely different. Drew and Martin sat at a table by the window, and Drew told him about reporting Michael for assault. He was virtually shivering with excitement at the prospect of Michael going to prison. Martin astonished Drew by asking how he viewed Michael's hidden assault. Drew reminded Martin that he was present when Michael attacked me out of nowhere, but Martin explained that he observed Drew approach Wiley, anger him, and then accuse Michael of lying to Wiley, which he described as hardly an unprovoked attack. Drew said Michael hit a sitting member of Congress, but Martin believed he went too far. Drew, irritated, stated it wouldn't be too far-fetched to send Michael to prison because he couldn't be Father of the Year from Pentonville. Martin recognized the entire affair was Drew's planned attempt to win Willow's forgiveness. Drew said that he only lost Willow because she lost her children, and that if he could reclaim them for her, she would see that everything he did was motivated by his love for her. Martin inquired, including sleeping with her mother? Drew claimed Nina was a mistake that occurred before he fell in love with Willow, and he reiterated his point that no judge would look favorably on Michael for bludgeoning a woman to death and now attacking a congressman. Martin told him that everything might not go as smoothly as he wanted, and Michael and Curtis could utilize Aurora Media to make Michael appear like a saint if they wanted to. When Drew suggested Curtis would be too busy defending his Aunt Stella from insurance fraud, Martin realized Drew was the one who turned her in. Drew returned to telling Martin that he would have to go to the PCPD to prove his accusation against Michael as true. Martin asked if it stated that Drew was the one who approached and disturbed Wiley, and he refused to sign the statement if it was incorrect. Drew reminded Martin that he was a congressman, his most important client, and Martin could not afford to alienate him. Emma later visited the pool to see Gio. She informed him of Maxie's hospitalization and expressed concern about the severity of the situation. Gio remembers how afraid he was when his mother was in the hospital, and how he didn't want anyone else to feel that way. As they continued to talk, Emma apologized for dumping trauma on him and bringing up memories of his mother. Gio stated that she had been unwaveringly there for him while his life fell apart, and he intended to be unwaveringly there for her as well. Michael, Diane, and Sunny arrived at the PCPD to speak with ADA Turner about the alleged incident in Metro Court. Sunny sought to talk with Turner alone for 1 minute. In the interrogation room, Sunny stated that they both knew Michael was innocent, but Turner stated that she was not, and was legally required to have the case investigated. Chase eventually arrived. He stated that there were 9 witnesses in Metro Court, and he had interviewed all but one, Martin Gray. Just then Drew and Martin came. Drew questioned why Michael wasn't in handcuffs, claiming he was a violent, temperamental criminal. Michael stated that he was there voluntarily to answer questions. Chase went over each witness question and stated that none of them remembered Michael hitting Drew. Drew became enraged and accused Michael, Sunny, and Carly of witness tampering, but Martin promised to confirm his version of events. Turner read part of Drew's inflated statement before having him sign it. Then it was up to Martin to sign. The scene concluded with Drew holding the pen out for Martin. Curtis met with Alexis at his Aurora office to discuss Aunt Stella being questioned by the State Insurance Fraud Division. He sensed something was wrong because the hospital's legal staff had not been told, and they were solely interested in Stella's accusations. Stella arrived and quickly apologized to Alexis since she believed Curtis was wasting her time. Stella believed that hiring a lawyer was an overreaction to what would ultimately be a bureaucratic issue. She perceived it as an audit, but Curtis and Alexis tried to convince her that it might be much worse. She eventually consented to let Alexis be her lawyer. Stella stated that the investigators continued asking if an insurance claim had been accepted, when it did not fulfill coverage requirements. When Alexis asked for further information, Stella explained that everyone manipulated papers and that she had, on rare occasions, changed dates to ensure that the patient had the coverage they needed. Alexis stated that changing dates would fall within the insurance company's definition of fraud. She remembers changing the dates on insurance paperwork 7 times in the previous 5 years. She criticized the complexities of how insurance companies operate, claiming that when people were going to be denied essential care or lose their homes, she changed the dates. As she continued, she mentioned Martin's lack of awareness that his insurance had lapsed, which immediately alerted Curtis and Alexis to Drew's involvement. Curtis believed that when he and Stella chatted to Drew and Martin at the pool the previous day, Martin most likely naively whispered something to Drew about how Stella had helped him, and Drew took advantage of the opportunity to injure Stella in order to get back at him.